here we are, we made it. We made it to the end of Venus retrograde, almost. Yesterday, Venus stationed to go direct. So we're almost there because we still have Venus journey in the shadow. And Mercury is still moving backward as well from our perspective until February 4. And Venus, as I said, she's still in her shadow until March 3rd. So in a way, we're still in it, but with a major shift. So we're shifting, we're moving forward. Something is clicking right now. We're almost getting the big picture, almost having clarity around what transpired for us during the last 2 months. Deeper than this, we're on the edge of being reborn right now, rising from the underworld, so to speak. We're about to be delivered from our heartaches or challenges or whatever you've gone through during the last couple of months. But still, it isn't the end yet, not yet. It isn't the end of the story. This month, February, Mars and Venus will meet on February 16. This is a very significant meeting that will bring us lots of clarity, lots of epiphanies. Yet still, this is not the end yet. That's not the resolution yet. The main big finale, the big resolution will happen when Mars and Venus meet with Pluto on March 3rd in Capricorn. Even after that, we have another meeting between Mars and Venus, but this time in Aquarius on March 6. So this is when Venus and Mars step out of Capricorn into Aquarius. They meet in a new sign, meaning that we have a new vision, that we are looking forward. You know, as we stepped out of the same territory where we've been for like 2-3 months. This is gonna happen in March 6. So let's track back. The main event of the beginning of this year has been, of course, Venus' journey into the underworld and her epic meetings with Pluto twice so far. And we have spoken about this journey in depth. And you have probably gone through some kind of deep journey, you know, perhaps even very, very turbulent one, whether an internal journey or external events or both. And we spoke about the relationship between Venus and Pluto. We said that Pluto is the polarity of Venus. And we spoke about Venus and her relationship with Neptune. And we said Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. We said that Venus must integrate her polarity Pluto, meaning we, as lovers, we must integrate the polarity of that archetype within us, which is Pluto. It means that we need to step out of our comfort, of the immediate sense of survivalism, to our psychological death, psychological shedding, which is our Plutonic journey. In this journey that we've been going through, parts of ourselves needed to be known to ourselves, needed to be loved, needed to be forgiven. And this journey opens Venus within us into her higher octave, which is the higher potential, which is Neptune, which is divine love, divine forgiveness, divine art. So we've been required to address deeper issues, deeper psychological issues during this time, to step out of our immediate psychological comfort into unknown places within our psyche and meet our deepest psychological patterns as they are triggered and as they manifest in our life, and to shed. And we do that so eventually we can birth our art. And ultimately, so as to know ourselves as who we actually are, by divesting our psyche from deep narratives about who we are. So now Venus is stationing to go direct. She's barely moving right now, like she's hovering, you know, somewhere in Capricorn. Now, because she's direct and she's moving forward, so we feel like things are starting to shift. We are almost able to receive the epiphany of this journey. And we're looking forward for this psychological resolution. We might have, during February, some lucid moments. You might even start to understand what happened, why it happened, and what is the essence of the medicine that we were required to digest. Yet, as I said at the beginning, we are not at the finale yet. The real finale is in March. March 3rd, Venus meets with Pluto and Mars. March 6th, she's out of Capricorn, meeting with Mars in Aquarius, shifting territories altogether. Yet, currently, and throughout February, Venus is tracing the same territories where she passed twice. She's moving direct where she already passed twice. So back in November 19, she entered a certain territory in Capricorn. She stopped on December 24. Then she went back, same territory, and now she stopped again, and she's gonna revisit to trace back the same territory where she passed twice. This is what you're doing. You are revisiting the same story. This is what we call the shadow of the retrograde. We are integrating this familiar territory. We are integrating what happened during those 2 months where we walked twice, where we entered since November 19th. We are having a very intense karmic journey. We're still in it, integrating it now, understanding what happened and why it happened. We've gone backward to revisit deep old patterns as they manifested as life events, triggering deep hidden inner dynamics within ourselves. Our reactions, our defenses, how we defend a psychological identity. And we have been gifted the opportunity to refine ourselves, this identity, in relationship to love, in relationship to money, in relationship to our worth, to our value, to our dharma. This journey is in Capricorn. This is the dharmic sign, from karma to dharma. This is the journey. All that occurred in the last 2 months for you was paving the way for your dharmic life, a vocational life. Soon, you will look back and you will see that I'm more aligned now. I'm more aligned with my life purpose, more in tune with my potentials, with my wisdom. I'm deeper in my wisdom. I'm deeper in my vision. I'm deeper in my self-acceptance, in honoring my value and my worth and my gifts in the world. This is the outcome if you've done the work. This is a journey of mastery, mastering your life path. It might not seem connected, like how this heartbreak or this breakup is serving my dharma, but it is. Karmic stories serves your dharmic path. You come to embody your dharmic path as you unbind those karmic knots, these narratives in your psyche, these defenses and these patterns that plays out in relationships, that keeps you stagnate in a certain sense of identity and defending it at all costs. An idea about yourself, an idea about your worth and your value. So as Venus stations now to go direct, we will feel like, okay, I'm done. Let's move on. But not yet. Things are shifting. Yes, they're truly shifting right now, but we're not fully done. It doesn't mean you're still stuck, you're not moving forward, or you're not gaining clarity. You are. And actually, if you want to take some kind of life decision, you can do it now, like during this new moon. This is a very potent new moon in February 1st. But understand that we're not wrapping up yet, not yet. We're less stuck, less frustrated, less hurting, less confused, but more determined. especially that now Mars is in Capricorn. Mars in Capricorn is exalted, meaning it functions very well. You know, it is where it is most determined. This is when we feel like this determination and we feel equipped to move forward, to achieve goals, to climb this mountain. And ultimately, we spoke about the premise, you know, of this journey being the deeper realization of the love that we are, the realization that all my longing, all those desires that fuel this past few months are truly longing to know myself, to know thyself. All my hurt is the ache to return home. And this is available for some of us, you know, who are already and ready to completely let go of the psychological self, individual self, ready to drop defending this little me, to give it back, to release it. Yet, before this stage, before this ultimate let go, we have to go through stages of self-mastery. That's the archetype of Capricorn. It is about self-mastery. Before this ultimate let go of the psychological self, one has to refine it, to master it, to distill it enough to its essence. Capricorn is the sign where such mastery is occurring right now. And by that, I mean there is a process of maturing. Phenomenal growth is happening right now. Soon enough, you will look back and you will understand what just happened through the realization of who you have become in the process of this elimination and maturing. Another aspect happening during this month, which is next week, Mercury is conjuncting Pluto. So another planet coming in to conjunct Pluto, actually for the second time. Meaning that here we're going to be digging even deeper, you know, digging deeper in our mental patterns. And Mars will meet with Pluto on March 3rd with Venus as well. This is a very potent moment. Remember we spoke before about the relationship between Pluto and Mars? That was like the last session in the cosmic surgery course, which was part of the tribe sessions. We said Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Pluto, the Lord of Death, the Lord of Transformation and Rebirth, is the higher octave of Mars. This is according to the School of Evolutionary Astrology and the teaching of Jeff Green. Now, why I'm telling you this? Because we need to understand the relationship between the two, so we understand the relationship between our desires and our actions, what fuels us into the world, what moves us. Pluto corresponds to our soul desire. Write this down if you take note. Pluto corresponds to our soul desires, not the superficial ego desires, conscious desires. No. You have conscious desires and you have like deep unconscious desires. The deep unconscious soul desire is Plutonic desires. Those deep unconscious desires are fueling and moving you in certain directions in life. They move you to fulfill things, to pursue things, to acquire things, to become. There is a force within you that compels you without you understanding why or even being aware of it, to do what you do, to pursue your desires, to be attracted to certain people, to be attracted to certain ventures in work. Those are very deeply unconscious. We don't know why I'm attracted to this person or this place or this career. Why we are driven to take actions on this but not that. You don't know why you are shaped in this way. You don't know why you came as a baby to those kind of parents. in this kind of body. You don't know why nor how and what brought you here in the first place. It just happens, you know, just who you are and what you do. What brought you here to this lifetime, living a certain storyline, are deep, hidden, unconscious desires. Soul's desires, soul's longing. There is longing in your soul. There is deep longing in your soul that brought you here. Unresolved stories, unresolved karmic patterns with deep longing for them to be resolved, to be released, to be delivered back home. There is a longing for yourself to be delivered back home, to unity, to love, to your essence. Simply put, these kind of desires are the Plutonic desires imprinted within you to serve your evolutionary path. Now, this is Pluto. This is what defines Pluto. You know, this is the archetype, the force within us. Now, Mars acts on this desire. It is the force within us that acts on these desires. It is the fire, the passion within that moves you. The conscious choices to act, like what you think, like, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to move in that direction. I'm choosing to stay in this relationship or to leave this relationship or to pursue this career. This is Mars moving you into the world. Now, it does seem like you have a free will because of this Martian energy within you, right? You feel like it feels like there is a sense that I'm taking this decision. I'm moving in that direction because of the feeling that I'm taking conscious decision and choices and taking actions that Mars invokes within us, that we feel we have a free will. If you know a bit about astrology, Mars is like the glyph of Mars is just like the circle with an arrow. It's like the masculine symbol, actually. It's a circle with an arrow coming out of it. Now, the circle represents union, oneness, God. With an arrow coming out of it, it says like I'm moving out of oneness. I am an individual. You know, Mars rules Aries. This is the first sign, individuality. It says, I am an individual now, a separate self, separating myself from the sphere of oneness. With a conscious will, I'm an individual with a conscious will. I'm penetrating the world with an arrow, leaving home, leaving the circle. But that's the illusion. That's the trial of separation. And that's what hurts. And this is the exact same hurts that draw you back within to dig in the Plutonic realm. There's a relationship between Mars and Pluto. In moving away from oneness, penetrating a world via seemingly willful actions, seemingly conscious decisions, we're hurting. And in that hurt, we start having this need to defend ourselves against this pain, the pain of separation. Therefore, Mars is our defenses. It rules the fight and flight response. Yet, big yet, the Martian desires within us to move, to penetrate, to achieve, to do whatever we want to do, are informed by deeper desires, unconscious Plutonic desires. Mars desires to take actions, to make decisions, to go and penetrate the world that is consciousness, is dreaming, is fueled, is informed by deeper unconscious Plutonic desires. This is another aspect, a main aspect between like the relationship between Pluto and Mars. Mars is our conscious desires, Pluto is the unconscious desires. This seeming free will is not really free. because it is informed by something very deeply unconscious. So we feel like I'm taking like free choices, but they are informed by things that are hidden from me. Pluto and Mars are very connected. Your conscious desires, decisions, and actions are fueled and formed by deeper unconscious desires and will. Now that answers the free will question from astrological perspective, right? By the way, as I said, this is like the astrology, the evolutionary astrology school of Jeff Wolfe Green, School of Evolutionary Astrology. But this particular insight is my own contemplation. Though huge gratitude to Jeff Green. He truly, like in my humble opinion, he changed the face of astrology by introducing evolutionary astrology. It's so profound. So from this astrological perspective, we can conclude that we have an apparent free will, but this free will to act, to make choices, to take decisions is fueled by deeper unconscious desires. You know, this Martian energy is this ego, self, separate self, it deludes itself that I am a person with a will. But this apparent will is informed by unconscious desires. Now, Mars rules Aries, as I said. And Aries is the sign of like the individuation. You know, from Pisces, you have Pisces, then Aries. From oneness, from God, there is the birth of this first thought of I am an individual. There's someone inside here located, and it is separate. Mars is the force that seemingly in a dream separates itself from unity, and it takes its own path with an apparent free will. You have this fire of Mars that moves you and gives the illusion of moving, choosing, developing my individuality. Now, nothing is wrong with that. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Nothing at all is wrong with that. But there is a deeper component to it. So why I'm sharing this is because I'm inviting you to look deeper into those things that compels you to do things in life. These desires move you out into the world, but eventually they draw you back in. You have this energy of Mars coming out into the world, you know, fueled by desires, but this journey will eventually draw you back in. This is Pluto, the higher octave of Mars. Pluto will redirect you in to look deeper into the heart of that which moves you. It invites you by force to take a deeper look at your desires and what informs your energy in the world. This redirection inward usually happens by force, usually happens via intense events. No one truly goes there intentionally. But eventually, this is where we are forced to go to meet our deepest icky feelings. So I'll give you an example. Let's say this is the Martian energy within us. You want to go have sex, but eventually you find yourself entangled in a web of emotional triggers, attachments, expectations, and so on. That's a Pluto. So Mars, so innocently, you want to go have sex, but Pluto says, oh, well, you're going to meet your triggers, your attachments, your expectations. Now, the invitation here is to dig deeper into the root of these desires. This invitation is a Platonic invitation to see that those desires are fueled, informed by deeper evolutionary intention of the soul to grow, to evolve towards that which does not evolve, to that which is constant, essential, eternal. So Pluto speaks of the unconscious desire that brought you here in the first place. It is why you're here. You don't know how you got here, why you got here, and where you're heading. You don't know why you're moving in this direction, why you're attracted to this person, why you're chemically, somatically attracted to that person. You don't know why you're pursuing this career, why you have this skill and talent and you're drawn to develop it. Maybe I'm going to give random examples here. Like, we don't know why we're drawn to spirituality, let's say, not religions. Why you're exploring non-duality, or why you're drawn to astrology, what compelled you to pursue this path and not that path. Why, as a parent, you are compelled to protect your child. Why you want to have a child in the first place or not have a child. Why you're drawn to live in this country but not that country, in this community but not that community. It does seem like you're choosing some of those things, you know, but those are very deeply unconscious compulsion. And they are taken for granted usually. We don't question those things. Those things correspond to unresolved longing, unresolved stories, narratives, paving a way to God, to truth. They seem from the surface that they are conscious, you know, via this Martian energy, but their roots belong to the unconscious soul realm. There's so much power in understanding those things because Pluto is power. Once you try you start tapping into this Plutonic intention, you have tapped into an imaginable power of the Pluto within you. Meaning that you have released your soul from the hidden underground, from deeply unconscious life. So all these desires, unconscious desires, bring you here into this lifetime. It shapes who your parents are, how your childhood unfolded, how you are imprinted by those early conditioning. And desires create duality, right? There is you and there is the desired object. They are the manifestation of the thought that something is missing. Desires are the manifestation of the thought, the feeling that something is missing, a deep sense in the soul that something is missing, that this something isn't quite right. I need to fix it, either outside or inside. I need to change it. I need to control it. There is a sense of, there is a subject and there is an object. There's an object that can fix me, or there's an object that can hurt me. So I want it or I don't want it. This separation, this imaginary separation, this distance between me and it, subject and object, you and the world, is the cause of the agony that something is missing and the existential terror. And here the quest begins to get rid of the terror by chasing a desired object. We try to get rid of that terror that is caused by this imaginary distance between me and it, me and what is, and I go chasing a desired object to get rid of such terror. Having said all this, don't hear this and think that there is something wrong, you know, with the desires. You know, no. It's the original problem, the root problem is that we think that there is something wrong. Thinking that something has gone wrong is the root of our agony and existential terror. Nothing is fundamentally wrong with this. It's just how the dream of a world is constructed. It is the game. Though we can play the game consciously with intense awareness instead of blindly. So all this is very highly activated this month. All this theme that I'm talking about is very highly activated this month and during the next 18 months. And it is always valid and highly illuminating. So if you're listening to this session like years from now, know that this is still valid, even if I'm mentioning certain trends that are happening at this moment. At this moment, we are having the meeting coming, the upcoming meeting of Mars with Venus and Pluto in Capricorn. And also Mercury will be there and Vesta will be there. And as I said, the nodes are in Scorpio-Taurus axis. All this means that we are looking deeper into our desires. At this moment, we are looking deeper into, or you are invited to look deeper into your desires that have ruled this previous phase. Ask, what did I chase? What did I want? What was I obsessed about? And why? What was I looking for? The meeting between Mars and Pluto in March 3rd is redirecting these apparent choices to our deeper unconscious desires. You know, we're looking like, okay, maybe I had like this desire to do this and that, but what was truly going on the deeper level? It seems like I'm starting this project because I wanted to make more money. It seems like I got intimate with someone because I wanted sex or intimacy, or I wanted to feel loved and validated. But what was at the heart of this longing? You can pursue any desire you want. Maybe you should most of the time. But ask, what was at the heart of this longing? We are now required to take a deeper gaze at ourselves and what drives us. What was I truly looking and longing for? That's the question. It looks like, from the Martian superficial perspective, that I was looking for love, for success, for my dharma, for money, for validation. But what's at the roots of these desires? What is it that I longed for? Now, luckily, we have this Plutonic energy within us that is bringing a sobering moment if you dare to go that deep. But most people won't go in that direction. Why? Because they don't want to let go of what they want. People don't want to look deeper because they are afraid that if they look deeper, they won't get what they want. If they veer their gaze off the prize, they are afraid to lose it. But you need to want to let it go. Let go of the need to get what you want. But Fida, I want it. I want this love, I want this money, I want this validation, I want this success. Yes, no problem at all. You might even have it. But that's not the point. There's nothing wrong desiring these things. As I'm saying, especially because now we have already shifted into the Taurus Scorpio axis, which we spoke about in a session in depth. And this is a transit for the next 18 months. This is inviting us to claim our deepest desires and pleasure. So this is not about stripping you off from the thing you want, be it a relationship, money, success, no, but about letting go of this neurotic need, neurotic attachment, this blind need, blind desires. I want it at all costs. No, why do you want it? Claim your desire and even pursue them if you want, yet understand them. Do it consciously with full presence, while asking the right questions, while reflecting deeper. Enter a relationship with all your soul. Start this project with all your being, but do it with awareness. Reflect deeper on that which ignites your desires. See beyond the surface of these Venusian and Martian desires. You know, Venus and Mars rule the sensual, somatic, sexual, and ambition. We are invited to claim and reclaim our Venusian and Martian desires of the somatic and instinctual pleasure as a way to drop deeper in the body, to this real, tangible experience, to this deep, intimate connection, as a way to find God. But the way to find God is to go deeper within the experience with awareness, to ask the right questions. Why do I want what I want? And truly go there. And to go there, to find the answer for this question, you must be willing to let go of your blind attachment to the object, so you can see beyond it. Desires blind us. I want it at all costs, and it hurts not to have it. The invitation is to stay with that hurt. There's nothing wrong with the pain of loss, because all is ephemeral anyway. All one day will be lost anyway. Sooner or later, everything will be lost. Your body, your whole identity, this whole lifetime will be gone, all of it. All forms are constantly dying, and that's what gives them their value. So the invitation is to accept the hurt of loss, the pain of loss. It's merely another somatic experience. So don't be biased about what kind of somatic sensation you should have. Don't be biased about like just wanting the pleasure of this somatic experience. No. Be equally accepting the painful somatic experience. And equally come close to the experience to the extent that you no longer differentiate between pain and pleasure. Feel them both so deeply that they are revealed to be of the same nature, merely sensation with a story attached to it. At any moment, trust what that tapestry of life is giving you is what it is offering you. And currently it is offering this epic meeting between Pluto, Mars, and Venus, where those two main aspects in our psyche, which is Mars and Venus, which is the masculine and the feminine, are merging with the god of death and rebirth. They're going really deep. We're going very deep. We need to understand that a life that is driven by unconscious, neurotic, blind desires isn't the life that you want. Yes, those desires pave the way to God's truth, and you are compelled to pursue them and exhaust them. Yet the essence of this journey lies in gaining intense awareness about what compels you. So go down, go deep within yourself, into the roots. We're only afraid to let go of those needs and go deep because we still believe that what I long for, what I truly need, is that object. So I don't want to let it go. You fear what can be lost if you don't keep focusing on the prize. So those desires are fueled by fear, but fear is an illusion. You know, fear is very real as an emotion, of course, but also it's very delusional. It's like the classic analogy. Some of you heard me sharing this analogy. It's a classic analogy in the non-dual teaching of the snake and the rope. So you're sitting in a room, in a dark room, and you see what seems like a snake on the ground. But in reality, it is a rope. Now, assuming that you are afraid of snake, then you become terrified, you know, because there is a snake in the room. Now you are feeling the fear. It is real as a feeling. This is your experience. You're scared, you're terrified. But the reason of fear is delusional, meaning that you're not truly in real danger. Your fear is delusional. All fears are like this. All fears are fears of a snake that only exist in your imagination, in your hallucination. All your fears right now are fears of a snake that doesn't exist, but in your imagination. And once you turn the lights on in that room, you will see that this is a harmless rock. Meaning that once you turn the light of awareness, of your awareness on the dark, deep underground, what lies beyond your fear of losing that object, you will understand that never was there a reason to be afraid. You will understand that that desired object that you're so attached to will not cure your fear. Fear cannot be cured by things and people. Fear can only be revealed to be an illusion. It will not be eased down by getting what you want. So examples, you fear being broke, so you go and make money. You didn't really cure your fear. You haven't overcome the roots of your fear. You're gonna make money and you're gonna be fearing losing money. And when you're out of money again, you're fearful again. I'm not saying don't make money, of course not. Don't misunderstand this. I'm saying do what you must do, what you are compelled to do. This is important, but ask the right questions. Go deeper to the roots of what compels you. Go deeper into the roots of your fear. Investigate your fears. Apply awareness so you are free. Another example is you are fearful, you're scared to be lonely. So you pursue a relationship, but you didn't cure your fear. Then you're gonna be scared that they're gonna leave you, betray you. You didn't overcome your fear. You merely applied a superficial band-aid on it. And this exact fear that you didn't overcome is gonna sabotage your relationship because you're gonna become neurotic in relating. So our deepest fear are not overcome by achieving superficial desires. Our Plutonic fears are not overcome by achieving the Martian and Venetian desires. We said Mars is this reaction, you know, it's the planet of action and reactions. Reactions against fear. The Plutonic fears that I'm speaking of. It rules our sympathetic system, the flight and fight. It's very instinctually defensive. Mars is the warrior archetype. Mars is the force within us that wants to get rid of the Plutonic existential fear by pursuing desires at all costs, defending itself against life. Acting on a blind desires fueled by fear, we become in constant defense, reactions against life, because we haven't seen the core root of our fears and desires. So you must pause and get down and deep and ask, what am I truly doing? We are arriving to March when we're gonna be looking back over this 4 months. It's not gonna happen on the day, but towards the day. Now, throughout February, you have this opportunity to pause and ask, what did I pursue? Why? What has taken over me? Because Pluto is very obsessive. So we have become possessed by something, obsessed by something. What was I truly looking for? We need to distill this wanting. Divest your wanting from the names, the faces, the labels, the objects that you chased. For a moment, dare to remove the desired object. put it aside for a moment. Divest your desire from its object. What remains? Just pure longing. There is pure desire, pure longing, nothing but longing. What is longing? Longing is there even prior to any object, prior to the word. What is this longing? Feel this longing. Just longing, soul longing, deep plutonic longing. What is the sensation of longing? Feel it, let it take over, let it penetrate you. It's love. It's merely love. Love with no object, love with no subject, just love. That's you. Unconditional love, objectless love, subjectless love. At the heart of all your search and longing and desire, there is one thing, and it is love. The true nature of your being, the fabric of the self. Your search is made out of it. It is love looking for love. You are looking for yourself. Don't hear this as spiritually cliche. No, feel it in your being. Bring back all these fragmented desires, projected into fragmented objects. Bring it back to the self. Turn it inward. We hurt because of this fragmentation. When we attached our self-worth and safety on this object and that object and this person. When I'm loved in a certain way, then I am valuable. When I have this amount of money, then I'm safe. We fragment our being. And we become so confused and scattered in all directions. Part of us wants to hustle, part of us wants to rest. Part of us wants to stay, part of us wants to leave. Unify yourself. Unify your desire to one desire. Bring it back home. So you are no longer fragmented. Come back. Come back to your essence, to that which you long for. You're longing to know yourself. You're longing for yourself. So we spoke once about the relationship between Venus and Pluto. You know, we said like Venus is all that is comfortable, pleasurable, ensuring my survival. And Pluto being its polarity, everything that is uncomfortable, that's threatening our survival on the psychological level. Now, Venus is pushed to integrate her polarity Pluto. So this is Venus-Pluto relationship. But also we have relationship, as we said, between Mars and Pluto. And it's like this. Mars rules Aries. All right, Mars rules Aries. This is actions, passion, fire. It is the psychology, as we explained, the psychology of getting out into the world to carve your path, to actualize your individuality, to develop your sense of self via actions. So Aries is life. You know, it's alive, it's moving forward, it's passion, it's fire. On the other hand, Pluto rules Scorpio, and that is death. Again, life is faced with death. There's no life without death. Without constant transformation and shedding, there's no continuity. There is no continuity without the transforming. And a transformation requires a process of letting go of what you've been to become who you will be. So as we said, examples, we gave this example. Mars says, I want to have sex. And Pluto comes and says, yes, have sex. But with that comes your attachment, your emotional triggers, your desires, your disappointment, stuff that you will have to work on. Mars says, let's say another example, I want to be successful, I want to build a career, you know? Then Pluto opens up a whole world of your deepest fear of failure. It will trigger your sense of worth. It will test your level of integrity. It will trigger, let's say, the imposter syndrome. It will trigger your fear around money, around validation, around being seen, being exposed, and all kinds of attachments. So every time Mars acts, we are faced by a deep world that opens up via Pluto. Pluto opens the underworld for us to see what has been hidden through emotional and psychological triggers. But Mars doesn't want to stay there, doesn't want to be stuck. It wants life, it fears death. Therefore, it rules the survival defense mechanism. So it will kick and scream and build defenses of fight and flight until life becomes unbearable. It becomes a battleground. Mars can be very destructive. It represents the unhealthy masculine in the world, violating the feminine, ripping her apart as a means of fulfilling its desire. And this destructive desires ends a relationship, or ends a successful career, or we are faced with failure, or we are faced with inadequacy. We are left with those raw emotions to deal with. But all those Martian desires must be exhausted. You know, we will have to claim our path. We will have to claim the fire. We will have to claim those desires, but to claim them consciously. And know that nothing you are pursuing and achieving is permanent. And it will not give you what you're looking for, truly. So you'll have to let it go. To live a fulfilling life, you will have to accept the impermanence of things. To accept death. To accept death is to be open, to be vulnerable. To integrate the feminine with Mars, which is Venus. Bring her in. You know, she's part of that meeting on March 3rd. She's the delicate, the vulnerable, the open. So Pluto is mastery. We are mastering something during this time. Mastering living a life where you know your being. And this journey takes away by force, usually, all that which you thought yourself to be. So as to realize and master being your true being. We're mastering being our true being. Life is mastering itself through us. So I know many of you has this direct experience of God's being, you know, the recognition of the self. Yet, also I know that many of you are you're finding yourself again and again taken deep into the darkness, the shadow, the pain, the triggers, to meet your deepest fears. Understand that this journey is nothing but a way life mastering being itself, stabilizing in itself. So every time a compulsive Plutonic desire arises in your journey, look at it and see it as a journey that will take you deeper into yourself. You're not going to be able to control many of those desires. You're going to fall in love and you're going to be in that relationship. You're going to be compelled to make money to survive. You're going to be compelled to pursue a career to feel fulfilled. Those are important things that you are compelled and you must pursue in life. But do it with open eyes. Dig deep into the darkness behind those desires with open eyes, with awareness, and be willing to let go of your desired object when the time comes. And understand that letting go, the loss invokes grief. This is part of it. There is sadness in every loss. So this doesn't mean we don't grieve, we let go, we're detached. No, this is not a lesson in detachment. No. This is not about not feeling, quite the opposite. This is exactly what we are asked to do in these intense spaces, to be tender, to feel. Understand this, to be awakened, to be in God, to be in love, isn't an intellectual journey. We're not gonna solve God in a mathematical equation. You're not gonna find God in the quantum field. You're not gonna locate the God's particle in CERN. No, this is insane. Humanity is insane. To look for God, for reality, for itself, everywhere, but where it actually is. In the real direct experience. God isn't in detachment and demonizing desires. No, it isn't in following teachers and idealizing teachers and in hierarchy and feeling superior and more evolved. No. It isn't in yoga posture or tarot card or even drinking ayahuasca. No. Or reading the latest Neo-Advaita book. No. It isn't in thinking that you are star seed from the Palladians coming here to save the earth. No. It is in dying to yourself again and again through real, raw, direct experiences. It is in your next heartbreak, not in running away from it. It is in your next venture to realize your dharma and meeting all the triggers on the way. Facing your fear of failure, of inadequacy, of the imposter syndrome, of your deep integrity, your fear around money. It is in healing your relationship to your mother, to your father, to your brother, to humanity at large, and forgiving yourself for the trial of separation and its deep hurt. It is in deep self-forgiveness and forgiving all who have wronged you. It is in facing where you have misplaced your worth, in facing where you have judged yourself and you judged others, when you have rejected yourself and others. It is in how you treat the world and how the world treats you and receives you. Pluto, the archetype within, is the archetype of death and transformation, and it is the deepest thing. You cannot skip it. You cannot bypass it. It is so profoundly real. It is somatically real. It rules sex. You know, the sacred sex, the merging, and sex is so intimate. You know, you don't have sex by reading a book or hearing about it or intellectualizing it. No. It's one thing to read about sex, another thing to actually have sex. Same for knowing your true being. It is that deep, that real, that somatic. You cannot read about it. You cannot follow it by following teachers and beliefs and ideologies. No. You have to be touched by it very deeply for truth to penetrate you, to challenge your deepest sense of being. It triggers your deepest psychology. It challenges your deepest sense of or self-definition, your very sense of self. It will threaten your existence. You understand how real that is? It is facing death with fascination. It is bowing at the altar of life and death. This is real. This is realer than real. On the other side of all this, of this immensely sobering, threatening, terrifying experience, lie the most outstanding truth. Lies your absolute freedom, where you are absolutely free, where you know yourself beyond this ephemeral flesh, beyond this psychological self, psychological narrative, the storyline that has defined you. You know yourself as the eternal, the infinite. You know yourself as God.